A building that stores fire trucks is called an engine house. This little building used to serve as New Boston's engine house, and it has a long history. As early as the 1840s, a warrant article was put forth requesting money to purchase a fire engine and to build a firehouse, but it was defeated. Later that year, in a special meeting, they were able to get $25 appropriated to fix up a room under the townhouse that could store a fire engine. 5 fire wards were chosen. The fire wards were to arrive at each fire with their badge of office, which was a 5-foot-long pole painted red. They could then present the pole to obtain assistance from those nearby to help extinguish the blaze. They would form a bucket brigade, passing buckets of water from man to man and throwing it on the fire. In 1872, a Honeyman tub was purchased second-hand from Salem, Massachusetts. It was already named Constitution, so they called it the Constitution II. The fire wards could appoint 18 men for the engine, as many men were needed in order to work the poles, called brakes, and provide the necessary pressure. Those men would serve until they moved away, they were discharged, or they resigned. They were made exempt from military duty and all jury service, so they could always be available to fight fires. That same year, 1872, an engine and a Hearst House was built. It was built about where the current engine house stands today, next to the town hall. This building was not completed until 4 years later, though, because they were struggling with getting the money needed. Then, the engine and Hearst House burned to the ground only 11 years after it was completed in the Great Village Fire of 1887. The Hearst House was rebuilt in the cemetery where it stands today. The Firehouse was rebuilt beside the town hall, but not until 2 years after the fire, because priority was given to rebuilding the school and the town hall. So in 1889, the town appropriated $1,200, and James Whipple, who was the owner of the Tavern Hotel, which did not burn in the fire, donated $300 to the cause. It took only 26 days to complete, and there were 2 bays with doors facing the main street. J.R. Whipple, James's brother, and the owner of Valley View Farm, then paid $2,000 to lay pipes and install fire hydrants to help in fighting fires. There are a few left around town. Over the years, improvements have been made. In 1905, the engine house was repainted and wired for electricity by Page Wilson. A slate roof was added for $162. In 1911, money was appropriated to purchase a chemical cart, something like this one. The tank held 35 gallons of sodium bicarbonate and water to help put out the flames, but the only actual fire engine was still the old Constitution II. Finally, at the 1924 town meeting, the town voted to buy a new fire truck. A second-hand REO Speedwagon was purchased for $800. 20 fires were reported in 1924. In 1925, a pump was purchased and installed on the REO. 13 years later, in 1937, a new fire truck was bought with a Ford chassis with a Hal pump to be installed. In 1939, the town voted to buy a fire alarm. This was placed on the town hall roof. Later, it was moved to the old engine house roof. Then, in 1973, when the current fire station opened, it was placed on that roof. By 1949, space had become a problem for the old engine house. However, a new, bigger firehouse was voted down. So the old engine house was remodeled. Instead of the 2 front doors, they added space to the side and built 3 bays facing the common. This cost $2,000. 15 years after that, in 1964, a Hal pumper truck was bought, and by 1966, sites were being scouted for a new firehouse. The firemen started a monthly raffle with prizes in order to raise money for a building fund. This was very successful. The New Boston High School, which graduated its last class in 1965, stood empty. After contentious debate, it was decided to tear that building down in 1971 and build the new firehouse on that site. This opened in 1973. The old engine house was then empty. and so was used to store the historic relics of the town. Later, it was decided to convert the old engine house into town offices. So it was shared with the Historical Society and the town offices. In 1989, the town hall was remodeled so the offices could go there, and the old engine house became completely available for the Historical Society's use. The Historical Society wanted the cupola and paint collars to be restored to their original appearance. Victorian paint collars were studied, and the collars that can be seen now are essentially the same as they were in 1890. One other change of note was the addition of the beautiful railing surrounding the building's entrance. These railings had been part of the 1891 Depot Street Bridge and were placed here in 1995 after the new bridge was replaced. By 2010, the new town library opened on Route 13, so in a round of musical chairs, the Historical Society vacated the old engine house and moved to the former library building, and the Department of Recreation then became housed in the old engine house, where it remains today, and where Mike Sindoni and Sherry Maloney work hard to provide services that add much to New Boston's exceptional quality of life.